Based on the title of this video, I'm assuming that you're tuning in because you want to learn some tips or tricks or secrets about writing songs. I'm not a professional songwriter, but I've been playing music and writing songs for over 40 years now. There's a few things that I have found to be the most important things as far as getting good at writing songs and being able to move forward and keep that forward momentum going, because I think a lot of people get stuck there. So today I'm going to be taking you through 3 tips that I have learned over the last 40 years that have made songwriting so much easier for me. Okay, so tip number 1. Riffs are not songs. So does this sound familiar to you? You're sitting around, you're playing your guitar, you come up with this great riff, or you come up with this great rhythm, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a kick-ass song. This is awesome. What do? Immediately, you run to your recording software. Maybe you got Pro Tools, maybe you got some other kind of DAW, but you go shove it in there, right? And you're like, okay, this is awesome. Okay, cool. So then you're like, well, I really need to hear some drums with this, and then I need to hear some bass with this. And you're like, you know what? I think I'll double up on the guitar a little bit. And gosh, you know what would be really cool here is a guitar harmony. I'm gonna throw that in there too. And then you're like, you know what? I got a great idea for some vocals right here. So I'm gonna throw that on there. While I'm at it, why don't I go ahead and just layer those vocals? Pretty soon, you've spent about 3 hours working on 30 seconds of music. This great riff that you have has now taken you a ton of time and taken you so far away from completing a song, you can't even believe it. And here's why. Yes, you have a great sounding 30-second clip or so. Maybe it's a minute long, but you've fleshed it all out. It sounds amazing. But here's the problem. You don't got anything that goes before it or after it. It's not a song. It's just 30 seconds of music. So writing those next parts become really difficult because now you're listening to this completed piece of music, and the next thing that has to come is another completed piece of music, or it sounds like trash. So you're stopping yourself from progressing because you've worked so hard on a small part. Once you come up with a great rhythm that sounds good, maybe you come up with a nice sounding rhythm, and then you come up with a vocal line that goes with it, that's awesome. It's a great place to start. What you should do is pull out your phone, get a nice recording of that riff, just that part. If you got singing over it, just do some scratch vocals over the top of it. If you can't sing and play at the same time, but you have both those ideas, then that's fine. Just get into your DAW, get into Pro Tools or Ableton or whatever it is that you use, and do a scratch track of the guitars, scratch track of the vocals for that part, but stop right there. Do not go any further, because if you do, you're just asking for trouble. What is practicing? What is the purpose of practicing? Well, if you ask me, practicing is doing something over and over again, and then that ends up making you good at it. Let's examine what you did with that 30-second clip in the description that I gave you. You came up with this great riff, you started recording, you added some drums, you added a bass, you did some layering of your guitars, you added in some vocals, and you did all this to make a full piece of music for 30 seconds. Did you practice songwriting during that time? I would argue no. I'll tell you what you did practice. You practiced writing a riff, you practiced recording, you practiced audio engineering, you practice recording drums or playing drums, you practice bass, you practice singing, you practice doing harmonies, but you didn't practice writing a song. You practiced all those things. So if that is your approach to writing songs, you're really practicing all of the other elements more than you're actually practicing a song. That's going to move us into tip number 2. If you want to get good at songwriting, you actually need to practice writing songs. So what does that mean? I've already said that a riff is not a song, and it's not. It's just one part of a song. What you should do is take that one part of the song, record it very simply so that you don't lose the idea, and then move on to the next part of the song. If you're anything like me, when you're writing a song, you're hearing the drums, you're hearing the bass, you're hearing the singing, you're hearing it all up in your head. So ask yourself what comes next, and then just make yourself make a decision. It doesn't matter if it's the right decision or not at this point. What's important is that you make a decision and move on to the next part. My suggestion for this is to actually take out a piece of paper and structure out your song. Start very simply. If you're learning to practice writing songs, start with 2 parts, 3 at the most, but just start with 2. Make a song that is a verse and a chorus, and that's it. And it's okay if it's not the greatest song in the world. It doesn't matter. You're going to write tons of songs. The idea here is that you're practicing the process of writing a song. So let's say that your initial riff, that one that you spent so much time getting to sound perfect, let's say that was the chorus, okay? So we have that part. Now we just need another part that's a verse. Come up with an idea that feels like it transitions decently to your chorus. It doesn't matter if it's great or not, don't worry about it. Play them together until it feels comfortable playing them. And then, on a piece of paper, write out a quick structure. This song is going to be part A, my verse, part B, my chorus, and then I'm going to go back to my verse, I'm going to go back to the chorus, and then I'm going to go back to one more verse, and then I'm going to do 2 choruses at the very end of the song. So if I'm writing this out on a paper, it'll look something like A, B, A, B, A, B, B. That's your whole song. I don't care if it's the worst sounding song you've ever written. You have essentially just written a song. Get in a habit of structuring out your ideas. If it's 1 idea, 2 ideas, 3 ideas, whatever it is, write it out on paper and just commit to that. Once you get done with it, you'll have something complete. And as you're playing through it over and over and over again through this process, you're making small changes and you're making little tweaks to each of the ideas. But you have this structure the whole way. And it's helping you get from that place where I've got this great riff, but I don't have a song. Okay, last part of tip number 2, record this idea. When you get the whole song done, record it. I mean, if you have good home recording equipment, go nuts on it. Record it as crazy as you want to. I mean, put all of the parts in that you want to, whatever. Make it sound as good as you possibly can. If you don't have a lot of recording equipment or your recording equipment is limited, most people got a phone. So get on your phone, just make a basic recording, but try to make the recording as good as you can. As far as playing, if you're singing in it, try to get a good performance, all right? Think about the way they used to do it years and years ago. They would go into a studio and they had to get that 1 take. So think about it that way. You're going to deliver that 1 take on your phone, or you're going to work to get that 1 take in your software, but make it sound as good as you possibly can. All right. This is going to be the hardest part, and this is kind of between tip 2 and tip 3. The next thing you need to do is step completely away from this song. Get away from it. Don't listen to it for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Once you've recorded it really well, don't listen to it. All you will do is over-criticize it. You're micromanaging it. You're listening to the smallest, minute details. All of this stuff is not going to matter if you walk away for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. A month is great. If you can walk away from a song for a month, come back and listen to it, I promise you, it's going to sound so much better. It'll be awesome to listen to it because it's fresh. It's fresh to your ears, and you've forgotten all about those little things that were driving you nuts when you were trying to record it, when you were trying to play the parts correctly. You'll forget about all of those things. It'll be fresh. So you will become the listener and not the performer. Okay, we're at the last tip. So what is it? This one's easy, but hard at the same time. Just be done. Be done with the song. Don't go back and rewrite it. Don't go back and re-record it. Just be done with it. Whatever you recorded, the best recording that you can remember, whatever it is you've got, that's it. Don't go back to it. Just be done. It's another song that you've written, and it's another song that's going to go in the catalog of all of the songs that you've written. So be happy with that and just move on. No one song is going to make or break you. And now I know, yeah, okay, people have written hit songs and it's totally made them. I get it. But you just don't know what song that's going to be. And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be because you labored hours and hours and hours over the song. It's because it's just a good song. And guess what? You write better songs when you practice writing songs. So do yourself a favor. When you're done recording the song and you wait a good amount of time to listen to it, come back and listen to it and go, you know what? That's a pretty good song. I'm going to put that over here and I'm going to keep working on the song that I'm working on right now. Because if you want to get good at writing songs, you want to be efficient at it, you want to get more creative, you want to get better ideas, you got to do it over and over again. Practice, practice, practice is important in anything you do. Playing guitar, playing piano, playing any instrument. Practice is so important. The same exact principle applies to when you're writing songs. You need to practice if you want to get good at it. One great thing about putting your songs aside and saying, I'm done with this, is after you've done 10, 15, 20, 100, you can go back and listen to stuff that was at the very beginning of your songwriting journey, and you can hear the innocence in your music. You can hear how simple it was. And you can see the progression in yourself. You can see the growth. You can see how much of a better songwriter you become. You're like, man, that is so stupidly simple, but you know what? It's still a good song. But now I look at things a lot differently. If I were to write that song now, I would do something different. But don't do that. Don't go back and change your old songs. Just leave them the way they are. They're fine. One thing to remember about your songs is most of the time, you're going to have a really small audience, okay? Most of the time, it's going to be an audience of one, yourself. Don't worry about what other people will think about your songs because for the most part, they're not going to hear it. And honestly, that's completely up to you. If you don't want anybody to hear your song because you think it's crap, don't play it for them. If you think it's great, then go ahead. But don't worry about that. Don't let that hold you back. Be done with the song. Be done with the song. Let's do a really quick recap over the tips, okay? Number one, riffs are not songs. Don't focus on riffs. Make a cool riff, come up with a cool rhythm, and then immediately move on to the next rhythm. Tip two, practice writing songs. Work out a structure of your song and play it through, all the way through. Get it to the point where you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And lastly, once you get a good recording of your song, put it away. Don't listen to it for a while. Come back and listen to it with fresh ears, and then be done with it. Just be done. Put it in the bucket of songs that are done, and then move on to the next one if you haven't already. So I hope this has been really informative to you. It's taken me almost 40 years to figure this stuff out, so I'm hoping that I can help you kind of skip a few steps. Let me know about your own journey. Tell me about it in the comments. If you find value in this video, consider subscribing. Hit the like button and ring the notification bell. Until next time, more guitars.